Hello and welcome to another episode of Copenhagen. Wait, I'm doing the name wrong. Unfiltered Copenhagen.
There you go for
That's
it.
the name
It's
of the podcast.
been a while, hasn't it?
It's been 2 fucking weeks. Yeah, it's every time that we take a break, I feel like, I fuck up the name right at the beginning.
It's you just change the order. No, it's not like you're just starting to call it something completely different.
All right, let's try this. Unfiltered Copenhagen versus Copenhagen Unfiltered.
I like the first one better.
Yeah, me too. That's why we picked it like that. All right, what do we
It's
got?
a very rigorous process we went through.
Yeah, this episode is going to be great, man.
Oh, we
got
got
so
building
much-
up for 2 weeks.
Yeah, 2 weeks. I mean, this has been not a slow news week cycle like it usually is in Copenhagen because it's usually pretty quiet. And one thing I forgot to mention too, last time we were on, I think there was already starting to talk about the additional shootings and stabbings in Norbro. And we kind of, I don't even think we talked about it.
No, I don't think we gave it much airtime, so to say.
No.
But there's
there's like
helicopters constantly. Isn't there around Nordpool nowadays?
There was a lot more police cars around there when I went to Danish class last week.
You didn't hear a helicopter?
There's pretty often helicopters over Copenhagen in general. Like you can see the military and police ones and then sometimes the hospital ones a lot. So I guess I don't pay as much mind to helicopters as I did when I was in the States, but I guess there's also a lot of helicopters there. But
Yeah.
they just patrol over the area, like looking for trouble? Rabble-rousers?
That's what I've read. You know that at least that there was a more constant patrolling. I don't know if it's all day, every day, but
Yeah.
that at least it's a more common sight around Novo. If you look up, you just see a helicopter. And I think I've noticed it from work because we have the roof terrace, so we can actually see above all those buildings.
Yeah.
And I think it might have been just some kind of confirmation bias thing, but I think I've noticed seeing a helicopter more often in the past 3 months than before.
Yeah, I remember when there was all those raids going on around Christiania. I was more mindful. Every time I saw a helicopter, I would look and be like, "Oh, it's over Christiania." Like they're checking shit out over there.
Mhm.
So maybe it could be a little bit of confirmation bias, or it just could be that you don't always see helicopters flying over and just patrolling around an area because it's so obvious when a helicopter is just kind of circling an area, like
Yeah, you can't really be very stealth about
like a
it. Huh?
vulture circling its prey.
But has it really been that bad? I haven't been following
I think
it.
2 weeks ago I read an article and there was at that point around 12 shootings or stabbings or something like that
In a month or in a week?
within I don't know a short period. I think there's been a couple more. They had a march. I think some Norbro, like all the citizens of Norbro, marched against the violence, and that very night somebody else was shot or something.
Mhm.
Or there was another shooting. There's been some claims or stuff, I guess, on some of the articles that it's gang related.
Yeah, all the shootings are going to be, I assume.
Yeah. So I don't know. It's kind of sucks, man. I mean, people need to quit shooting each other. Although I think they're not very good at it here.
You don't think they practice they don't practice as much as in the States, at least.
No, exactly.
It's not part of the
maybe they don't
culture.
maybe they don't have the same level of firepower either. I think most of the guns trickle across from Eastern Europe, like former Yugoslavia and where else? Like the Bosnia, like all those regions that were like basically just fucking crazy in the 80s, 90s.
Yeah.
There's probably just so many people just still have guns that are unregistered, untracked, and tend to end up crossing borders and make their way here.
It's mostly handguns, right? Like it's not rifles.
I don't know what is involved. Yeah, I don't think there's a bunch of rifles involved in the shootings here, because it's really hard to conceal the fact that you have a rifle.
Yeah, you can just
It's kind of obvious.
Not in your pocket. You can put it in your pocket. Yeah.
Which is what it was really interesting to me when I found out about the gun laws here, that it's very highly illegal to have a small, like a handgun here that has a barrel less than like the equivalent of 5 inches.
Less?
Yeah. Like to have a small carryable handgun.
Oh, because it's easier to hide.
Yeah, because it would be easier to conceal, which is interesting to me. I guess because, I don't know. Yeah, I mean, in the U.S., you also have these laws against short-barreled shotguns and short-barreled rifles. Because you can actually get a rifle that's small enough to conceal in a jacket, not like a trench coat, but if you have a jacket on, like you could come up out of there with like an Uzi-sized actual rifle round, And rifles are just really a lot more lethal and more accurate at higher distance and all that. But yeah, so you have a lot of laws. You have to get a special registration, the same one you need for like grenade launchers and silencers. And you have to get a short-barreled rifle or a short-barreled shotgun. But
You think Denmark is becoming slowly more like the US for it?
I don't know. Not really, I guess.
But there's been an article saying that the American dream is actually found here in Denmark.
Yeah.
Look at that segue.
That was a tremendous segue. You blindsided me with that one. Should we take a look at
Yeah,
that?
don't we have it open?
Yeah. All right. So if you're in Norbro, just be careful, man. Don't want to get shot, you know.
Well, be careful everywhere, but
Especially there right now. But there's, like I said, there's a lot of police out there. I saw more police presence. I think that it's also part of the visitation zone, which means that they can stop and frisk and search anybody they want for any reason. So that's becoming a little more American, particularly. Where was it? I'm looking for this article.
Maybe we didn't open it. Did it? You can just quickly Google it.
No, yeah, I didn't. Okay, well, I'll find it, and maybe you can talk about how your past 2 weeks is going. Maybe about Scannable.
My past 2 weeks, yeah. I mean, it's been my fault that we didn't record it last week. But 2 weeks ago, we were at Smook Fest in Scannable, and it was fun. I think I've mentioned before, we go there every year, so it's lost a bit of its novelty from the beginning. You know, it's like the first couple of years, it's different, and you're in the middle of the forest, and I guess you give less of a shit about the shitty music because you're just having fun. And we had more. I feel that we've had a bigger group there in the past as well. I feel that there's fewer of our good friends that were there this year.
Mm-hmm.
So all in all, it's become slightly less exciting. It's still fun, but it's become a bit of routine, which is great. I mean, it's great to just not go to work and have a few drinks, smoke a joint or two, be in the middle of the nature, listening to crappy music.
Yeah.
Yes, I said it. Crappy music. The music is terrible. The music was terrible this year, at least.
Yeah, at least the past few years, there's been like one or two acts that I've been like, okay, like most of the music was shitty, but this show was like surprised me, or I was at least mildly impressed.
Yeah.
Whereas pretty much everything we went, well, actually, that's not true. Our good friend and actually boss played a set there.
That's true.
And he did. I was really impressed because I didn't know. I've seen him play live for like small groups before, and it's always like good and enjoyable and all that. But I think he took this one really serious, and you could tell that they had practiced a lot, and he had like put some thought into the songs they were going to do. And I think he's going to be really happy because when we were there, I remember mentioning that the sound guy, like the person that was doing the mixing and the sound, was really good. Like all the levels seemed pretty good, although I think we did mention that the harmonica could have been a little louder, but I think that's because he was using the same mic for the vocals.
Yeah.
And they probably didn't want the vocals too high and then have to adjust for the harmonica and all that.
Yeah, the harmonica really stands out when you play it.
Mm-hmm.
I remember listening to Bob Dylan on my iPhone, iPod, whatever. And sometimes I needed to have my finger ready on the volume because when the harmonica solos came on, you really need to take it down a notch.
They probably should have used some form of gentle compression on that harmonica, right, to reduce the dynamic range.
You should have gone there and suggested stuff to them for it. It's like, hey, let me teach you.
Well, anyways, the sound was really good, and the video they took of him was really good. So, like, that'll be an experience for him that he can, he can share with his friends, be proud of, and relive that moment. And I think there was no period where I felt like, oh, they fucked up, or like, oh, they messed up there. I was just like, wow, this is really nice. Good. And there was a crowd there. I mean, not a huge one, but I mean, I would say there was still at least 500, 600 people just right there, listening. And like, he was living the dream up there, man.
Yeah.
So
it's just a matter of time until he gets bigger stages.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, surely they would invite him back because I think his music is better than half the shit they play there.
Yeah, it's less poppy. It's more I guess traditional blues,
it's like
rock,
bluesy
but
rock.
It's catchy. They play a lot of covers as well, which in a way, I guess it's good to get people like, okay, I know this song, even though they don't know the band, they know the
familiarity
songs.
of it, yeah.
But at the same time, I mean, you're not going to put someone who plays mostly cover songs on a big stage, I guess.
No, but they had originals in there too.
They had two, yeah.
So as they write more, they can rely less on covers to kind of get people in the door, so to speak.
Yeah.
Because when you're walking by and you hear something catchy, oh, let me check this guy out. It sounds pretty good.
Yeah. They're called Railroad. You should check them out.
Yeah.
I feel like some blues rock
That blues rock, man. I love it.
with
What did they
with the-
play
with-
this? They played something this year that was, well, they didn't play one thing on the live set, which was Mustang Sally, which we're
Sally.
used to him
Yeah.
playing, and he plays well.
every single time.
And this time instead, they played some other Muscle Shoals music. What was it?
Oh, I can't
I
remember.
forgot
Well,
what-
they played the Sweet Home Alabama.
Uh-huh. I remember that.
They played some AC/DC, some Deep Purple,
Huh, what was the other one?
but I can't remember exactly.
They played some
Oh,
Muscle Shoals style music.
Yeah, which Ford's a big fan
It's
of.
an amazing documentary. And
It's
of
a
course,
good documentary. It's a great documentary. Actually, you asked me
to watch it.
to watch
and
it,
you did.
and I did. Of course, I did. Ford, I listened to what you tell me.
Yeah.
I did. Just because I have other movies that you've recommended on the pipeline
Yeah.
doesn't mean that I don't actually plan on watching them.
What was your honest review of that documentary? Like, I think I felt like it was either 7.5 out of 10, or like around 7.5 out of 10 or 8, like enjoyment level for me.
Sure. I mean, I guess I could say the same. I like music, or I'm pretty obsessed with music in general.
Mhm.
So I guess I'm also an easy sale
Yeah.
because it's
The
it's
subject
like a
matter is relevant.
historical place, and a lot of music was made there that I actually like and stuff like that. But I think even for someone who might not be into it or might not know anything about it, I thought it was very entertaining and interesting. Yeah,
Mhm.
and with some really great soundtrack.
Yeah, because all the song that I guess that's one thing, is even if you're not into the music production side of it and the stories of how they recorded those songs, there's so many classic songs in there that you'll know and you'd be like, I fucking love this song. And you're like, wow, all that badass music was recorded in some tiny little part of Alabama.
Yeah,
And like people flew in all over the world to record there, and it kind of started the whole Muscle Shoals sound thing. I don't
the
know.
Stones went there
Yeah.
from the UK just to record in that historical place.
Mm-hmm.
It's a good documentary.
Yeah.
I recommend it.
Muscle Shoals. I think it's still on Netflix. And if not, you can even get it on YouTube, I think.
So back on this American Dream, Ford.
Yeah, I found the article. Should I?
Yeah, go on.
I'll give you the title: "Living the Perfect American Dream in Denmark." This is like the story of my life, actually, because. All right, I'm maybe exaggerating a little bit,
Go on.
but I love it here. So I'm not going to read the article word for word, but I'll read a few snippets. But the key takeaway from this article is basically that kind of the American dream, the perfect American dream, rags to riches, has become like the universal or a universal phenomenon. Everybody has this kind of quote American dream, which I would argue is more like just a fucking human dream, right? In some
Yeah.
ways. And they say research shows that far from being the land of opportunity, the U.S. has a very low social mobility. So in fact, you are much more likely to achieve the American dream if you live in Denmark. And they show a graph here about the relationship between income inequality and social mobility. But basically, I don't know, social mobility is lower in unequal countries. So, and social mobility is the ability of individuals, families, and groups to move up or down the social ladder in a society, such as moving from low income to middle class and so on. And Denmark is hailed as an exemplar. Although not completely immune, Denmark has less of a problem related to social mobility compared to other wealthy countries. Let's see. Okay, so in most of the OECD countries in 2015 study, the income gap was at its highest level in 3 decades, with the richest 10% of the population earning 9.6 times the income of the poorest 10%. That ratio was 7-to-1 in the 1980s. And in Denmark, on the other hand, the richest 10% only earned 5.2 times more than the poorest 10%, the lowest ratio among all OECD nations. And it says some researchers have refuted the findings, but the Scandinavian model of social welfare is still considered exemplary by policy analysts across the world. And it goes on to talk about how kind of the situation in U.S. and Britain is quite shitty regarding that. And I agree. Like, I can just speak on this on a personal
Mm-hmm.
level. One of the reasons I left the US is because if you're not if you're not wealthy or rich in the US, life is actually not really that great for you. There's a lot of you kind of always worried about money, and many people are always living paycheck to paycheck and relying on credit to always survive just basic things, you know? And at the risk of going kind of bankrupt in any one big major financial crisis for your personal finances. And I guess everybody just kind of holds on to this dream. Well, yeah, it sucks for all of us right now, but maybe one day I'll make it rich, you know, like, and I just felt like it was a rat race, man. You work 40 hours a week hard, and you work even more because if you don't work like overtime, like all your coworkers and boss think you're lazy, and they're like, well, it looks like Johnny over here showed up 43 hours this week and made 2 extra sales than you did. And, you know, you're not pulling your weight around here. Hope I don't have to find somebody new. And like, it's just a threat that tries to make you work harder for the same money.
Mm-hmm.
And your coworkers, like depending on where you work, man, people will cut your fucking throat and stab you in the back to get ahead.
You don't think that happens here?
And there's no doubt in my mind that it does happen here.
But
I
not
guess,
not to the same extent.
well, I'm lucky. I guess I'm in a particularly lucky situation because I work at a small private firm, you know, or we both work at a small private firm, and it's probably different than working at one of the big like Deloitte Consulting
Yeah.
or, you know, one of these big international firms that's basically Americanized anyway. But since income, like there's more income equality here, I feel like people have less incentive to kind of fuck you over for money. Like people care a little bit more about the human aspect.
Yeah, I agree. I have this. It's not really a theory. It's just the way I see it. That since people's life here is generally pretty good, like there's not that. Let's say there's not as much extreme poverty
Yeah.
as in the States, for example, where there's actually a lot of people living in poverty, and here it's a bit more balanced because of the welfare state, I guess, and all the social benefits that people get. That since people have a better life, like without being filthy rich, they have a better life. They have less incentive to actually be as cutthroat, you know, because they're not. It's not so much that they have more to lose, but they don't really need it because they already have a decent life. You know, like if someone is really poor, I guess they're willing to take bigger risks or do more
Of course.
drastic measures
Yeah, I
in
mean,
order to get something.
You'll do what you got to do to feed your family. I think less than talking about just the particularly like the really impoverished, like homelessness and all that stuff. Although I agree, I think there's more in the U.S. I don't know if that's factual. I just feel like that from what I saw when I was there versus when I'm here. What I think is more interesting is the people that are living right on the brink, like right on the edge of being homeless.
Mhm.
I feel like there's so many people in the US that are like basically just right on the fucking edge of being able to survive, juggling credit and paying off a little bit here this month. And okay, we're not going to buy, you know, this month, and like really fucking like cutting corners and making ends meet just to survive.
Mhm.
And basically they're one big event or financial crisis away from being fucked. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? Like
yeah.
losing their job for even just 2 weeks and not being able to work those 2 weeks, or getting injured or anything. And then just like everything, it's kind of like a house of cards, you know, one thing happens and then it all just comes toppling down.
Mhm.
And I mean, I was like that. I was actually homeless at one point. I lived in my truck, and I was lucky to even have a truck, you know?
For how long?
I think about like 7-8 months.
Oh wow, that's a long time.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't a long time, but I mean, 7-8 months was no joke. And luckily, I had some friends that ended up letting me stay with them, and I felt very like, I guess, just I felt bad. I felt like I was imposing. Like I was just felt worthless because I was like, man, somebody else is having to like put a roof over my head, like, and I don't know. It was it was kind of a dark point in my life, but there's such a high level of anxiety and stress and like worry all the time when you're kind of right on the brink there. Like, oh man, what if I don't, oh shit, what if I don't buy this on special? I might not be able to, just all kind of things like that. You have to always juggle and be fucking with coupons and specials. And it's like you need to drive 5 extra miles to go get like meat at a good price, but you end up paying more in gas
Mhm.
You know, like there's just
Yeah.
all these fucking things that just crazy when you're right there at the border. But I feel like because of the income inequality issue, or the fact that there's less inequality here, and the fact that there's the social safety net kind of underneath, like if you lose your job, you still most things can rely on like a casa or like Dowping, which is
Yeah.
like money for when you're unemployed
Mhm.
for up to what, like 2 years.
I think it's up to 2 years. Yeah.
And I mean, it's enough to actually get by. And like there's so many other social programs and just general things I think that can help you. And I don't know, man, I feel less stress on a daily basis about that kind of stuff.
Yeah. I mean, I feel, of course, the taxes are high, but I do feel that
I
that they're used at least. I don't know if they're used perfectly, but it's probably impossible to use them perfectly, and it's also depends on my opinion or
Yeah.
other people's opinion.
Yeah.
But I do. I've said it before. I do enjoy paying the taxes here because I actually see that.
You see them being used around you for something good that you can is actually tangible, and you say, you know what, that's actually a pretty good idea.
Yeah, and I see that the I see that the less inequality actually what's the word, like you can see that society benefits
Mm-hmm.
from having less inequality.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, I guess I didn't really think about it when I came here the first time, but it must have been in the air. You know
Mhm.
what I mean? Like just the way the people are here, like it felt to me different, and I was like, wow, something's different here. Like it feels nice here. Everybody just seems to be, I don't know, just enjoying their life more. You know?
Yeah, and you don't need too much. I mean, of course it helps that you're in a country that where wages are pretty high and
Hmm.
there's a strong currency, but of course it's an expensive country
Country
as
as
well.
well, right?
But you don't need too much to enjoy life, so to say. Of course, then you might want to, you might be a bit more materialistic
Hmm.
than other people, you know. But that's one of the things that I find very different in the society here compared to America. I feel that in the US people value a lot more the materialistic things, you
Hmm.
know, like having a big house, a big TV,
Yeah.
and having all these things. And I'm sure it's the same here to some extent. But generally speaking, I feel that people derive their happiness a lot more from either spending time with people or
Hmm.
just having all these, like, I don't know, having meals at home with friends and all the hygge that,
Yeah, the personal fucking interaction with human beings and not just
yeah.
material stuff.
And enjoying what the city has to offer as well,
Yeah.
because you see a lot of people in parks here and things like that. As soon as the weather
Yeah.
is nice, you see a lot of people enjoying everything, you know. Even if it's winter, you see people out in cafes with a blanket
Yeah.
on top of their legs.
Yeah. I mean, about the material stuff, I think you're right. I think the material stuff is like celebrated in the US and used as like a metric by which you're measured whether or not you're considered
Successful,
successful
yeah.
or not, or like a rabble, like, you know, just
Hmm.
trash, like, oh, look at you with your shitty car and all that. It's honestly quite sad just thinking about it. But you mentioned the taxes here are high. And I know I've said this a few times, and you know my take on this. I don't think I pay any more in taxes here than I did in the US. I paid close to 30% federal income tax. I paid another 8.25% state tax. So we're talking 38, 39% already.
Hmm.
On top of that, I paid 5 or 6% tax on my home.
Yeah.
So you're at 45%. I mean, pretty much the highest tax bracket you can be in here is roughly what, 55, 60% at some point when you're like really making a lot of money. And most people pay less than 45%.
Hmm.
So actually, I think I pay around the same taxes here that I did there, and I get way more for it. So I'm happy to pay the tax here, 100%.
Yeah, it's a non-issue for me.
I look around. I mean, hell, outside right now, they have a park. They just put like a whole bunch of new pine trees in the park here in the Comuna.
Hmm.
A bunch of new pine trees in the park. Like they keep continually improving. First, they built the park. Then they put some playground stuff on it. Now they have soccer fields there. They have new trees they're planting all the time. It's just like a continually make it better
Yeah, and
approach
the city has been under construction
forever.
continuously for the past, I don't know, 6 years or something at least.
Yeah. And we also just got these new bio container. It's like a food waste container. and they give you these biodegradable bags. So you put all your food waste and paper towels and things that biodegrade, and then they take it to a facility where they kind of compost it and turn it into biogas, and they use that gas to power the buses. It's pretty fucking cool.
Yeah, that's nice.
I mean, I would rather them use the taxes on that than like building a fucking aircraft carrier.
Or some other kind of military
Yeah, exactly.
vessel, like for example,
like a submarine, a nuclear submarine. Oh god, this transition. Yeah,
you could see that.
I can see what you're doing. You know, you're getting pretty good at this fucking transition thing. I think I taught you a little something in the past few months.
I spent studying the last 2 weeks. You know, I wasn't just having a jolly good time. I was practicing.
You were having a jolly good time.
I was.
All right, so this is actually, I guess it's taken us a little bit of time to get into what I would consider the meat and potatoes of the last 2 weeks news cycle.
This is the biggest
dominating
story.
The news. And if you don't know what we're talking about, we are talking about some fucking mystery science theater 3000 shit with a submarine. I mean, there is holy shit. There's dismembered bodies.
Don't give it all away at first.
Okay,
because some people probably haven't heard about it.
All right, if you dismembered bodies and submarines, there you go. You should be intrigued already. So
it's listen. I have to say that if there was a movie made with this story, it would be an entertaining movie. But at the same time, I'd be like, okay, it's a movie. You know, I'm not sure this would really happen in this world.
You'd think it was fiction.
Yeah,
like it was some kind of, you know. I don't know. Some who would direct this movie if you were to think of it?
Who would direct this movie? That's a good question.
Yeah.
So it would be a bit of a thriller, right? And the whodunit maybe and the crime thing. So it's not too action packed. So you're not gonna pick up. Not gonna pick those like Ridley Scott or what's the other one?
Michael Bay.
No.
Yeah. No way.
No.
And I don't think it's a Tarantino flick.
No,
either.
It's not like David Fincher either.
No, you're right. That would be. He can do some dark kind of twisted stuff, but you're right. David Fincher doesn't jump to mind. Either.
You know what? I would love to see David Cronenberg doing something on this because all these movies they're very. There's always a big component of flash in his movies.
I'm not familiar with that. Maybe I've seen some
Scanners and Videodrome and
Scanners. I think I've seen.
He made the one with the two twin brothers who are they are gynecologists and they're twin brothers, and you can just imagine where this is going. But anyway, his movies are very dark.
Okay.
And they're very flashy. There's always a component of flash.
Okay. Well, there's a component of flash here in a submarine story. So there you go.
I'd say David Cronenberg.
And what do you think that the name of the movie would be called?
Oh, I don't know. I don't know. That needs some longer thought than this.
All right. Well, we'll come up with some ideas.
Maybe by the end of the podcast, I'll have a better idea.
So let's just set the stage here. Should I set the stage on the timeline?
Broken Wall. That would be the name.
Oh man. Okay. That's a little dark, but yeah, it might be good. Broken Wall. Okay. So there's a Danish inventor being held over the death of a Swedish reporter, Kim Wall. Her headless torso was found on the waterside in Copenhagen, right here in Amager. And he denied killing and mutilating her body and all this stuff. This guy Madsen is apparently like a Danish, kind of a well-known Danish inventor and crowdfunder guy, and like I guess a bit of a mini Danish Elon Musk kind of character.
I was thinking about it actually today. I was trying to see who I could compare him with.
I think that's the closest comparison you can make.
I think he's like a mix of Elon Musk and O.J. Simpson because of what happened.
Okay.
I'm not accusing anybody, by the way.
No, well, okay, let's talk about this first. I mean, of course, innocent until proven guilty and all that, but I got some opinions on the matter. So the timeline.
Let's go through the timeline.
Yeah. Okay. So this Kim Wall, she was a respected, I think, Swedish journalist. She had done a bunch of international stuff. I guess pretty well respected, well liked, and loved, of course, by her family, as anybody would be.
She wrote for The Guardian and New York Times, I believe, and stuff like that. So yeah, she wasn't just some random. Yeah.
Not just some random person.
Wannabe journalist.
Actually, I don't know. Yeah, well respected. Okay. Thursday, 10th of August, around 7 p.m.
Wait. Should we start with introducing who this Madsen guy is? Because
he's a Danish Elon Musk. He invented some shit.
Yeah, but he has his own submarine.
Yeah. Well, we're getting into that. He's built, I guess. Okay. Should I look him up? Let's look at his Wikipedia. See if there's anything we don't know. There might
Well,
be something new.
is a bit of a
Okay.
aeros
A
rocket.
Danish aerospace enthusiast, artist, submarine builder, entrepreneur, co-founder of the non-profit organization Copenhagen Suborbitals. Oh, is he involved in
There you go.
suborbitals? Okay.
Yeah.
And founder and CEO of RML Space Lab, APS. So he's involved in those suborbital rocket guys.
Yeah, I think he was more known for his connection to
Rockets. Yes.
Yeah, than this. Even though, I mean, once you hear that someone has a submarine, I guess you become known for that.
Yeah. So he built 3 submarines, the UC-1 Freya, the UC-2 Kraka, and the UC-3 Nautilus. The Nautilus is a privately built midget submarine launched on 3rd of May, 2008 in Copenhagen. It's constructed over 3 years and cost approximately $200,000 US to build. He also in 2008 co-founded Copenhagen Suborbitals, which is like a enthusiast rocket and small, I don't know, like a rocket club, right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know too much about him. I know that a lot of people are kind of wild about him.
How old is he?
He is
46.
He's born 1971.
It's on the right for it.
Oh yeah, look at that, age 46. Okay, so there you go. That's a little bit of background on this guy.
Yeah, just who is he?
It's kind of, he really is kind of like an Elon Musk, because Elon Musk has a space company. He's got an underground tunnel boring company. I mean,
you could say in a way that he built a car. I know it wasn't him building it, but probably he didn't build the submarine by himself anyway.
Mm-hmm.
He needed help from other people. So yeah, he's a bit...
Okay, so he's got a submarine.
A bit of a, I would assume, eccentric person, maybe a bit nerdy. I actually haven't heard him talk, but I've heard people saying that he was a bit eccentric, which you have to be.
Yeah.
You know, when you have your own submarine, you're not going to be just someone who works at McDonald's. You know,
I never really thought about building my own submarine, and I don't know anybody else who's thought about it either. But I'm not going to judge him on building a submarine. It's actually pretty fucking cool.
Oh, I think it's awesome.
I wouldn't mind having a submarine, or at least having the ability to. I want to ride her. I've never been in a submarine. I would like to be in one of those badass military submarines and have them like take me down and dive and go somewhere dangerous in the world and do some fucking mission like the Hunt for Red October.
You wouldn't be afraid of being underwater?
I'm not really claustrophobic unless it's incredibly tightly enclosed. I guess maybe the mental aspect of knowing that you can't really even get out unless the captain of the ship kind of surfaces and all that. I don't know. I don't know how I'd feel. I think I would be okay in one of the military submarines. I don't know if I'd want to stay there for a fucking year.
Yeah.
But like a week, yeah, I'd probably do it, no problem. Okay. Where are we? We had this timeline up before you so rudely interrupted my timeline. So
I just wanted to give some extra information about our character.
So,
not our.
So Kim Wall, well-respected journalist, wrote from The Guardian. This guy, basically Danish Elon Musk. Thursday, 10th of August, around 7 p.m., Kim Wall meets the Danish inventor, Peter Madsen, at Refshaleøen, which is, they have a weird translation, Refshale Island.
Yeah, Øen is island. So.
Yeah, okay. So they meet at this island, which is also where we sail our boat out of. I'm really familiar with this harbor they were at. And they board the 18-meter Nautilus submarine. So this thing is like, what, almost 60 feet long and like 40 tons. It's a pretty big fucking private submarine. And then a day later in the morning, Friday, 11th of August at 10 in the morning, the rescue crews locate the Nautilus in Køge Bay, which is south of Copenhagen. And at 11 a.m., Madsen jumps into the water after the submarine starts to sink, telling personnel on the boat that rescued him that there had been a problem with the ballast tank and something had gone wrong when he tried to repair it. And then Monday, 21st of August, Kim Wall's body was found by a passing cyclist on the coast of Ama here. And I should say her headless and armless and legless torso was found with like holes punched in it.
Oh, there were holes punched.
That's what, yeah, we'll read this in a second. Okay. So first off, just first impressions. What do you think, Dolph? Maybe...
Well, first impressions, like any good...
Let's play a game game of Clue. Do you remember the whole thing with...
Clue. It was Mr. Mustard or Colonel
Mustard in the kitchen with the candlestick and... What was it? Dr. Plum or Miss Plum?
Miss Plum.
Yeah. So what's your first impression?
Scarlet.
What are you thinking?
Okay, so from this...
How'd she die?
Well, I don't know how she died, But if she doesn't have her head, of course, I don't know if she died from having her head cut off or if she died before. Anyway, the first thing that comes to my mind from this, and I'm not saying this is what happened, of course, it's just if this is all the details that I had, I would think, well, okay, yeah, he took her into the fucking submarine. Something happened. I don't know if he did something or not to her, but something happened, and he tried to basically get rid of any evidence that something happened. So maybe he couldn't pull her out of the submarine, so he had to do a bit of some adjustments to her body.
Boy, jump into conclusions over here.
Well, if she doesn't have arms and head, something happened. You
never know. I mean, maybe
I know.
A submarine can be a dangerous place, Dolph. There's big hatches, a lot of pressure differential.
Yeah, but it's not like there's a fucking tiger in there that will all of a sudden just rip your head off.
Okay, well, what if... I'm trying to think of an event here. What if...
Also, I think it's very interesting that he was seen at 10 in the morning on Friday, and 1 hour later, after he was seen, his submarine sank.
And he jumped into the water and had some people rescue him. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
That's very interesting. That sounds a bit sketchy. Come on, Ford.
I mean, the only way I can see that somebody would be fully dismembered with their head, arms, and legs missing is like if he tried to... Like if you try to put her in like a torpedo launch tube and like just launch a torso out of there.
Why would he want to do that? Oh, so you're saying that's maybe what happened, that he didn't just... Okay, yeah.
Well, no, but who puts a person into a torpedo? Like, this is a ridiculous scenario to begin with. So what I'm saying is, I don't think it's probable that she just lost all of those 5 appendages based on like an accident.
No, not on an accident.
I could see, okay, like here's an example. I could see that you could lose either your legs or like an arm or both arms or even your head. Maybe there was like a hatch in the submarine and it wasn't properly, like it wasn't sealed or something. And so water started to flood in and she was in a really unlucky position where like a door slammed shut on her legs and just cut them off from the force of the water, Like, but I don't think that your legs, your arm, and your head would all be cut off at the same time in an accident like that.
I agree with that sentiment for it.
All right, so we're getting warmer.
But did it actually have a torpedo?
No, I don't know. I was joking. I don't know.
Because that would be interesting.
Yeah, that's why I was trying to think of the most ridiculous scenario that could still be somewhat fucking plausible on a submarine, that you'd be missing all those appendages. And maybe he was like, hey, why don't you check out this torpedo tube? And she crawled in for some fucking reason. And then he accidentally leaned against the launch button or...
Also, we don't have much information about the torso, do we? Because, for example, if the limbs had been sawed off, that would be easy to notice, I will assume.
Yeah.
I'm not
so
a
then your
expert,
first guess would be that maybe somebody used a saw to cut them.
Well, if there were saw marks there, I think we could deduce that. Yes.
Okay. What if she went out for a little underwater dive? From the submarine, like one of those attached dives, and like a shark bit off each appendage, and then you just dragged her torso back in.
Oh, so we courageously went to save her and dragged her...
Hit that shark with like a flashlight and then dragged her torso back in.
I find it... Well, what I find the most unlikely about that theory would be that the shark would clearly go for one arm, then the other, then the head, I think he'd just go for one bite and catch whatever would come.
Yeah, me too. Okay, I was just trying to...
No, it's good for it.
Let me give the benefit of the doubt.
I'm playing devil's advocate
this
here,
is like
I guess.
Elon Musk over here. I don't want to think this guy's a cold-blooded killer,
I can see how you set up the good cop, bad cop duo right here, but I'll play along.
All right. What else do we know?
Well, we know that when he got caught the first time, he actually claimed that he dropped her back at the harbor on the same day that he picked her up, right?
Yeah, so there's some inconsistencies in the story. So I think the day they rescued him, or right after they rescued him, he told the police that she was alive and well, and he dropped her off at the harbor. Okay.
Yeah, this was before the body was found.
Oh, yeah. So he dropped her off at the harbor, just sunk his own sub or something, or maybe his sub just had some problems. I don't know.
It's just much of a coincidence.
It's a little inconvenient because we have a sailboat, and whenever you go out for a sail, when you want to come in, you don't really want to go back out again. Like all this back and forth. I mean, it's not just like a bicycle where you can just hop off of it and then get back on later. Like you need to sail a vessel into the fucking island, dock this fucking boat. And our boat is pretty small, 7 meters. This thing is fucking 18-meter, like 40-ton submarine. It's got to be a little more unwieldy than a trimaran. So, you know, it's not very convenient to like take somebody out on the sailboat and then bring them back and then be like, okay, I'm going to go out and pick somebody else up and bring them back and do all this shit. And I can imagine it's even less convenient on a fucking submarine. So already that's not adding up, you know, that she was alive. Like he went out for sail with her, talked to her about the boat, and then brought her back, then went out for a little personal sail, and then had some problems, and then it sunk.
As soon as somebody saw him, the submarine sank. Submarine which had existed since 2008.
Seemed like a pretty reliable submarine. I mean, it'd been in the water for what, or at least been sailing for 9 years and never sank. Kind of strange. It just sank all of a sudden, huh?
And he even had a Kickstarter a few years ago in order to, I don't know if it was refurbish or repair it or something like that. Yeah.
Indiegogo,
sorry.
Yeah. Basically a Kickstarter. So
crowdsourcing.
All right. So okay. Well, anyways, police have initially, let's just fast forward a little bit. I guess his timeline is kind of fucked up, isn't it? Police charged him, I guess, now, and they're holding him in custody for involuntary manslaughter. And there is some suspicion that they will upgrade those charges to murder. So he initially denied that he said she was fine. He dropped her off.
But last time he saw her,
she was fine. Then he changed his story and said there was like a tragic accident on board, and I had to bury her at sea.
Yeah,
this was before they found the body, I think. So yeah, he just said he went from last time she was fine. To, okay, all right, I'm just kidding. Last time she fucking had a tragic accident and died, and then I just I was right in Koo Bay, which is like, I can swim to fucking Copenhagen shore or radio for help or do anything. But my first instinct was just to bury her at sea right away. That kind of fucking seems...
Wait. It's not just burying her at sea, because when the torso was found, it actually had some kind of weight there. Yeah. Presumably to keep it down.
Well, that's how they bury things at sea, right? They weigh the box or the corpse down, and then they just sink it to the bottom. So when they found the torso, the head was missing, the arms were missing, the legs were missing, and they said the torso itself was mutilated in a way that seemed to be to prevent gas, or to allow gas to escape and prevent the decomposing flesh gases from having the corpse like rise up and float on the surface. And also it was weighed down with a metal object.
Yeah, something sounds fishy over here.
Yeah, I mean, this doesn't sound like everything's on the up and up.
No,
like
especially when it changes his
yeah, it's not like a
story.
Normal day. Oh, what did you do today? I went to the market, buried somebody at sea, cut their arms and legs off,
Well, you don't know if he cut them off or not.
Ate some ribs.
You don't know if he cut them.
Oh, right. Oh, yeah. No, let me jump to conclusions. I'm sorry. That's unfair. Yeah. Okay, so... also, the police found blood inside the submarine, which of course had sank and had seawater in it. So I guess there was some damage to any possible evidence
DNA
there.
Evidence, yeah.
But they did a DNA test when the torso showed up on Ama. They tested the DNA from that torso and I think some hairbrushes and toothbrushes from the victim's house, and it matched. So it's her torso.
It's her torso,
100%. Yeah. Now, I don't know if the blood in the inside of the submarine was tested against that and matches or not. Because, again, they said seawater. I mean, it could have contaminated, ruined that evidence. I'm not sure. But, I mean, last time she was seen, she was on that submarine with him. And he's got this fishy fucking story about, oh, yeah, she was fine. Oh, just kidding. I buried her.
Yeah.
Okay. So he denies, I guess he has a lawyer, and the suspect denies murder and desecration of a human body. Copenhagen police said. He's been in formal custody since the 12th of August on suspicion of negligent manslaughter. And he says Wall died in an accident on board a submarine he built. He claims he subsequently dumped the 30-year-old's body in the sea south of Copenhagen. Investigators say Wall's body was deliberately mutilated and weighed down with a metal object to try to prevent its detection. She had went on board on the 10th of August to interview him. They found traces of her blood. Okay, so they did confirm her blood
Yeah, it's her
inside the
blood.
vessel.
Yeah.
The prosecutors are seeking to charge Madsen with murder, and they have until 5th of September to request an extension of his custody.
How does it work with charge like this? Like if you have enough circumstantial evidence, but you don't really have proof,
They can hold you. Well, in the U.S., they can fucking hold you found even if you don't have any. I mean, they say that you need a reasonable suspicion of a crime to hold you in the U.S. And I imagine...
I mean, this sounds reasonable enough to me.
You know, I mean, yeah, it's a whole lot of coincidences, maybe just an honest mistake, but it kind of sounds like he fucking murdered her.
Yeah, it does. But I've watched 12 Angry Men. Have you seen 12 Angry Men, the movie for it?
I think I have. It's been a long fucking time.
It's a great movie. It's from the 50s.
The jury, it's the one about the jury deliberations and all that.
Yeah. The whole movie takes place inside a single room with 12 people, the jury arguing.
Yeah, I've definitely seen it. I was young, though.
And I mean, there is... In the way I see it, there's clearly enough room for reasonable doubt. It just sounds really unlikely. But I mean, who says that she actually wasn't dropped off? And there were claims from the harbor, someone in the harbor or restaurant, that there's CCTV footage
was provided.
Yeah,
by the
police,
restaurant.
to the police.
By the restaurant Haltman, which is the restaurant we ate that fantastic Wiener Schnitzel, best Wiener Schnitzel in Copenhagen, by the way.
There you go.
Big fucking serving of Wiener Schnitzel, some capers if you like them. I'm not a big fan.
Horseradish.
Some little anchovies, some horseradish. I think they give you with that. It's fucking huge serving, and boy, it's fucking good.
Yeah, I'm not sure I had it, but it looked good because I've seen it at least.
Yeah.
Anyway,
they provided the recording.
Yeah, but there is some space for reasonable doubt. You know, he could have actually dropped her off. She just ran away because, well, people think I'm with him, so I'm just gonna, I don't know, do something else and not tell anybody.
Okay, but then why would he then say later that there was a horrible accident on board, she died, and I buried her at sea?
Yeah. It's especially the inconsistency with the stories. Like if he had stuck with his first story, I don't know. For it, it's I'm just trying to play the various sides to this. I really don't think that he is innocent in all this.
Okay, let's. I got a little more. There's some more information.
Bring some more
I'm ready to bring some more information for the listeners that are playing at home and playing the jury here at home.
Let's build this up a little bit.
So the Nautilus, this was a submarine they were on board. It was the biggest private submarine ever made when Madsen and some volunteers built it in 2008. The volunteers were engaged in a dispute over the Nautilus between 2014 and 2015 before members of the board decided to transfer the vessel's ownership to Madsen, according to the Nautilus website. In 2015, Madsen had sent a text message to two members of the board saying, quote, "There is a curse on Nautilus. Quote, that curse is me. There will never be peace on Nautilus as long as I exist." End quote. According to a post written by volunteers in Danish on the website. Danish police are still searching for the clothes of Wall that she was wearing: an orange fleece, a skirt, and white sneakers. According to her former classmate and close friend Yang Kong, the sneakers had sentimental value. I feel bad laughing at that, but it is kind of a strange part of the article. We sent, quote, "We sent each other photos of us wearing the sneakers during reporting trips from different parts of the world. I believe she was wearing them when she went missing." End quote. Yeah, it's kind of sad, but that's a weird thing to ask for. It's like, can I have the sneakers though?
Yeah. It's a bit like in westerns, or even in Game of Thrones. They're just looting the dead, you know? Like, I want these boots.
Oh, yeah.
They look nice.
Those boots look great.
It's like, I don't even know her, but hey, I'm an old friend, and those sneakers...
That's an upgrade.
Yeah. My sandals are...
a little worn out.
Worn out.
Okay, so what do you think about this quote? "There's a curse on the Nautilus. That curse is me. There will never be peace on the Nautilus as long as I exist." This is like some creepy fucking... like a psycho horror thriller movie guy.
It's a weird quote, yeah. It's a quote that, again, I have a feeling that he was a bit of an eccentric person. So I can imagine someone who is just a bit out there. I don't want to call him crazy or anything, just a bit out there. That it would be something that a person like that would say.
Mm-hmm.
I personally... I think it's so easy to take that quote out of context. You know, you don't know exactly what happened when he said it.
It was in Danish. It was in Danish originally, so this is also a translation.
Yeah.
And I mean, maybe he said it to be more mysterious. I mean,
And
don't
know
you
the
think
tone
of the kind of guy
voice.
that owns a submarine does it to be a little bit mysterious?
Oh, I don't know if mysterious, but definitely that will provide
Eccentric?
them some kind of validation, like having someone that doesn't nobody else has, and
Yeah.
something kind of empowering, I would say.
Or maybe a lot of these inventor guys seem to have some like mild spectrum, like autism or
Yeah.
some. I'm not saying everybody does. I'm not saying
No, no,
he
no.
does because I don't know. But it wouldn't be weird to me if some nerdy inventor guy was kind of weird socially and
Yeah.
said things that were a little inappropriate
Yeah.
or not really taken the right way, or maybe he didn't mean them like that. I don't fucking
Yeah.
know.
I like this. I like this format of the podcast for where we just play like armchair psychologists and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
We should do this more often.
We will.
And anyway, yeah, I think that the only problem I have with that quote is that we don't actually know the circumstances where it was said. We don't know the people who were around. We don't know who he said
No.
it to. We don't know the tone of voice. There's a lot in body language and tone of voice that
Yeah, text.
that
You
when you just put it in text.
always take text the way that you perceive it right
Yeah.
away. Like
Yeah,
you
exactly.
put your own flavor on text when you read it, and that's why I think text is so bad for working out like disputes and problems. Like when you're texting someone and they're like, you like don't know if they're being cunty or like they're just kind of being a smartass or like whether they're really genuinely trying to be helpful. So just pick up the phone and call and be like, oh, okay, cool. Yeah, we'll meet there. Instead, you're thinking like, just thinking the worst things. There's some more information. I'm trying to see. There was another couple of things. Yeah, the police said DNA taken from her toothbrush and hairbrush matched the remains of the torso. We know that. And they revealed the blood matched on the sunken submarine. Her torso had been weighed down by metal to help it sink. An injury she had suffered appeared to suggest that air had been forced out of her body.
Huh.
Like,
To make her drown more easily, I guess.
well, if she would,
Or sink.
she was still alive if it was to make her drown, but no, to
No,
make her
sorry,
sink.
to sink. Sink,
Yeah,
that's what I
yeah,
meant.
to prevent her
Sink.
from floating, actually, more than make her sink, I guess. Yeah, and then his lawyer says the DNA match doesn't change my client's explanation that an accident happened. And then there's a section titled here in this article on BBC, has Peter Madsen's story changed? Initially, the inventor, well known in Denmark for his submarine and rocket activities, said he dropped her off after dark at about 22:30 on the 10th of August at the Hal Annan restaurant. Again, amazing fucking Wiener Schnitzel. Close to where they had met earlier. The restaurant owner, Bo Peterson, I think I've seen that guy in there. Maybe he served me a Wiener Schnitzel. Said the area was well covered by CCTV, and he handed the video footage to the police. And I do know that whole area. Like, if there's cameras up there, which I guess I never really paid attention, but it has basically full coverage of that harbor. No doubt in my mind. We don't know what's on the video, but police said after a judicial hearing on the 12th of August that he had given them a new account of events. That account finally emerged on the 21st of August when police said he told him he had thrown the body into the sea after an accident. Before this, he had said, I dropped her off. She was fine. His lawyer said he had always wanted the account to be made public. Well, then why tell him something else? The big question remains, what really happened to Kim after she met Peter on board his submarine? Where did they go after the sun went down on the 10th of August? And what happened in the hours before the sub was finally spotted at 10:30 the following day? The search for her remains goes on, and her mother, Ingrid, has said that there's still a number of questions to be answered. I believe... Copenhagen police have urged people who have traveled with him before to explain what happened on their trips. And then there was also... They were still searching for her other remains, like the arms, the legs, and the head, I guess, but they have recently suspended that search and said they're ready to resume it if need be, but I think they are not continuing that search right now. I'd imagine it's kind of hard to find like a single head or leg in the water if it's not floating. I imagine his attempts to sink the body didn't work that well if it floated up onto Ama.
Yeah. Do you think he ate them?
Well, I mean, if they left right away and he threw her in the torpedo tube, well, okay, maybe...
You're
Okay, all
sticking
right.
with the
All right,
torpedo,
let me just... I don't know. People are going to think this is a little offensive and realize that I think this issue is sad and
It's
dark
tragic.
and tragic and fucked up and everything. And I'm not trying to make light of it and joke about it, but some people deal with things with a little bit of dark humor and all that. So let's just play along and play devil's advocate here. So what if he left with her? And I'm leaving out another big piece. There's some rumors that they were involved in some sort of love triangle or quadrangle or whatever. Like there was some open relationship. These are rumors. I think they've been shared a little bit on maybe Facebook or Reddit or something.
I can't remember what I read or heard them.
Who
but
knows
yeah,
if they have any validity. But certainly some sort of weird relationship gone wrong or jealousy situation is grounds for can be a reason for somebody to want to commit a murder.
Also, it makes the dynamic very different because it implies that they already knew each other, that she didn't just go there as a journalist to check out the submarine.
Yeah. So maybe they were having a romantic rendezvous. And something went wrong when he tried to tell her that his biggest fetish was to have her in the torpedo tube while he fucked her. So then he hit the button. No, okay. Never mind. Maybe, okay. You hit her over the head with a pipe.
Okay.
Cut her arms and legs and head off. Punched holes in the torso to try to get the gas out. Do the actual torso out of the torpedo hatch with some anchor on it. This would have at least taken, a couple hours, right? Cutting arms and legs and head off a body can't be easy work.
It doesn't sound easy, no.
I mean, he came fucking, he must have come prepared. Do you keep a saw on board your submarine all the time?
Maybe if you need to fix it. But the saw, no, I don't know. The saw seems kind of weird.
Jesus Christ, man. So, I mean, this...
Well, we don't know if it was sawed off.
Well, how the fuck else would you cut the thing off? Would you put her in a door, like I said, and smash the door onto it?
Maybe one of those
I'm trying to
rotating things.
I'm trying to put my mind into like the body of a killer. Like, you know how O.J. Simpson purportedly ghost wrote that book?
Yeah.
If I did it. Yeah, so I'm like... Yeah.
If you did it.
If I did it, yeah. Let me think. Okay.
So if you did it, you'd certainly have some fun with the torpedo. The torpedo.
Isn't it every little boy's dream to have like a fucking torpedo launcher or a missile launcher or something? I mean, he likes launching rockets.
That's true.
He's involved in suborbitals.
Yeah.
Maybe he was working on a little Tomahawk missile launcher from his private submarine and he just had some weird...
That is a good point.
Fetish for rockets and launching things out of tubes. I don't know. Okay, so let's say
you don't think the body would be damaged if it actually?
Well, they said it was mutilated.
Well, yeah, but
you don't know how it was mutilated.
You don't think it'd be more damaged, you know?
I don't know. I mean, you don't actually have to explode. Like some of those rockets are not actually fired by an actual explosion. In fact, most of them aren't. I think they use pressurized gas to launch it out of the initial thing because the explosives on board would be like a really high risk.
And you don't think that would disintegrate the body a bit?
Gas?
Just the
like
the pressure
gas
with
under
shooting
pressure?
it. Yeah.
Human body's pretty resilient, Dolph.
Not enough.
You can hit your fucking little toe on something and it hurts, but that toe stays around.
Yeah, but I think that if my toe was launched with whatever pressure to that would actually be enough to launch a torpedo.
Forget the torpedo launcher.
All right.
Maybe that
was my favorite part of the story.
That was a little overzealous. Okay. He hit her over the head with a big pipe.
Mm-hmm.
Went down into the little repair station, grabbed a fucking saw, sawed her limbs off. What would he punch holes with? Like an awl or like a pickaxe type thing? Punch a bunch of holes in her chest, try to get air out of her lungs. I don't know. I guess you could just throw the arms and legs out, just kind of normally.
Okay, so let me
tie an anchor to her torso. But my question is, how does he get her out? Did he wait until the sub surfaced? Like, was the sub sailing underwater when he killed her, or was it just at the surface? Because for him to get the actual body and all the parts out to try to sink them, he could have either done it by just throwing them overboard while it was on the surface, which is probably the easier of the two, or he had to have some sort of weird airlock torpedo launching type fucking thing to get those body parts out into the water, because the whole point of a submarine is not to let the water in and not to let the air out.
Well, one of my theories is that, after she was dead and he was trying to get rid of her, that he wasn't able to bring the whole body through the the entrance or the
Oh.
exit, you know? So that's why he would chop off the limbs, because it would make it smaller and it would make it a lot less heavy.
But think about it. Yeah, okay, the weight part, you might be right. Maybe
and the head was maybe only so that she wouldn't be identified.
You know, you make a good
That's
point
my theory.
there. He's kind of a nerdy looking dude inventing subs. He's probably not like lifting heavy at the gym every day.
How tall is he?
I don't fucking know.
Probably that's probably
Do they have it
no
on
evidence.
Wikipedia? No,
Yeah,
it
how
doesn't.
tall and how much he
is
weighs.
Peter? How tall is Peter Madsen? Let's ask Google.
No, that's a
This is
football
a
player.
retired footballer. This isn't the same guy. Oh God,
No.
everybody's named Peter and Madsen in Denmark.
Yeah, that's not a good
very helpful,
combination.
is it?
No. Okay, let's
He
keep
looks
it like
look
this.
look at him here.
That's not a full body shot.
That's not a full body shot. He doesn't look like a power lifter though.
No, not a CrossFitter or anything like that. No. All right.
Okay, so but anyways, he could have been too weak to lift her, and
Or
thus,
just maybe just cumbersome, you know? Like I don't know how much space you actually have on those stairs to go up the
yeah,
submarine.
moving a
you
body
know?
around. But I don't think it would have been because of the size. Because think about it, if she could fit in the hatch before she was dead, she could probably fit out the hatch after she was dead.
Then you need to actually push
Don't fucking
somebody else's body
Yeah.
up the hatch while you're also climbing the stairs. I
Yeah.
assume there's some kind of ladder there.
don't fucking skip leg day.
I'm just saying that's probably if I had to throw out the theory, that's probably the one that I'm most comfortable
I
with.
feel like you're onto something. Okay, so that's our little he murdered her turn, or my kind of if I did it turn of events. I guess we left out one other important part, was that the investigators said that they believe he intentionally scuttled the vessel, which is when you sink it on purpose.
Yeah.
Okay.
It certainly looks sketchy that it would just sink
Hadn't sunk in 9 years. All of a sudden, once somebody dies on board, it's sinking. I mean,
and somebody else sees you there, you know? Because
like,
it was right after he was found.
yeah, they found him, and he's like, "Fuck it, better sink this sub right fucking now." And then he claimed there was a problem with the ballast tank, and then he had to do some repairs, and then it fucking sank. Okay, so that's like the he done it version. My if he did it. Now, what if there was an accident on board? Let's play this out. They get on board the sub.
Yeah.
He takes her on a romantic cruise with a glass of wine. They submerge. They go under depth. He pulls that little horn. You know, they pull the horn whenever they fucking are submerging, and it like warns all the sailors they're about to go under, so you better fucking be ready.
Yeah.
The one that's like, wow, ooh, God. You know, that one right there, and it does that a few times. So he probably does that, and she's like impressed, like, "Oh, that's so cool, Peter. Did you invent that too?" They submerge. They're sailing around in the water a little bit. A little glass of wine. He gets maybe tipsy, trying to make a move. Accidentally hits some wheel or button and crashes into something. She hits her head and dies. I guess that's about all I can say.
Yeah.
What's my first thought when she dies? Oh, shit. All right. Well, I better surface and radio because I'm only like 5 miles away from fucking shore. And there's a bunch of boats here in the capital of this whole fucking country that can help get me, and helicopters. So probably my first thought is, oh, shit, she needs medical attention and I can't save her. I'm an inventor. I probably have a radio on board this fucking vessel because it's required by the international standards of maritime law. And I know a little bit about those standards because I've researched them quite a bit, but basically you need to have a way to fucking get a hold of somebody if you're a vessel over a certain size going any distance away from the water. Either VHF, which can reach, I don't know, 30 to 50 kilometers maybe on a good day, maybe less. Line of sight, though. It can go to the horizon if things are good. And then if you're a larger or commercial vessel, you have to have SSB, which is like single sideband. And that's one that it's high frequency and they bounce it off the fucking ionosphere of the Earth. So you can get like 10,000 miles range on one of these radios. And they have a whole system of alerting. There's an entire protocol designed to like you basically hit a red button and a fucking mayday goes out. And if you have a GPS, then it also fucking includes your location and everything. So like even an idiot can call for help with a radio like this. And this guy that built the sub is not an idiot. So, but anyway, she has an accident. She dies. My first impression is to call for help because I'm like literally a stone's throw away from Copenhagen. Kind of sounds reasonable. Because then
Well,
even if she died, I mean, it's not really my fault. I'm not too worried because something happened, accidents happen. So guys, come out here and let's repair the damage and get her off board and notify her family and say sorry.
yeah, okay, that is assuming that
He
he
didn't-
didn't cause he was
didn't
not
cause her death.
responsible in any way. So that she just had an accident and she died.
Okay. No, I said he was kind of responsible for his death because I was saying he drank a glass of wine, he was trying to put the moves on her, and he accidentally hit a wheel and it turned and crashed into something. And he
No,
killed.
okay, but that would not be any different than
Having a car
you're
accident.
driving a car,
And
and you fall asleep and you run over someone.
Okay,
like you didn't do it on
So
purpose.
it is still your fault, but we're in that department. We're in the neighborhood of involuntary manslaughter.
Mm-hmm.
You killed her, but you didn't voluntarily try to kill her. It was just an accident.
Yeah. So, assuming, well, okay, let's say the way I see it, it was obviously either not on purpose or it was on purpose.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know which one to believe, but the being on purpose, if the rumors are true that they knew each other and that there was some kind of possibly love jealousy thing there, it might have it gives a bit more, it sounds a bit more reasonable. But
So he would.
either way, whether it was on purpose or not, I can imagine the first reaction of someone like that would be to panic.
Okay.
And when you panic, you're not really going to be very rational. You know, it's like, oh shit,
Yeah.
she's dead.
First thing I do, where's the fucking saw?
No, I'm not saying that that's what he thought. But if you panic, then you're going to be like, holy shit, maybe they wouldn't believe my story. Maybe I actually tried to, let's say I tried to put the moves on and she was pulling away, and then
They're gonna say it was rape followed by a murder.
Well, I don't want to call it rape, but
Well, I don't know.
maybe
We don't
some
even know if
kind
there's
of,
any romantic element at all. We're just speculating for the sense of speculation.
yeah. But maybe when it happened, he panicked
Freaked out.
for some reason.
Fucking freaked
And
out.
when you panic and you're, I don't know, maybe he likes to watch these kind of movies like whodunits and stuff like that, or these murder mysteries.
Yeah.
But he's clearly he's clearly a smart guy, you know. I guess maybe he thought that, okay, I'm in the middle of nowhere. Nobody,
Who's gonna believe
mostly
me?
anybody knows that I'm here. If I tell exactly what happened, either people are not going to believe me, or I'm actually going to be charged because it is my fault.
Mm-hmm.
But nobody knows where I am. Nobody knows that I'm here. I'm in the middle of the sea, submerged.
So what do I have to lose?
What can I? Yeah. What can I do? Like how can they link this to me? You know, like what can I do to just get rid of this and have this not be related to me in any way?
Okay.
And then it's like, okay, I need to get rid of the body
Yeah.
in the sea. And then we go back to what I said before. It's like, oh
The
shit,
saw
I
and all
can't
that.
take
Yeah.
it out of here, you know? Then, like, because of strength, because of space, whatever. The only thing I can do is
Cut
try
her
to
up.
chop off her body,
Put an anchor,
and
stab her in the chest a few times.
put something so that the torso is not found, probably the head is not found either, and then try to play like nothing happened.
Okay, and so then he was gonna sail back.
and then he was seen.
Yeah.
And
then
once he was seen, I was
freaked
like,
out
"Holy
again.
shit! I haven't gotten rid of the arms or whatever." I don't know. I'm just
Yeah.
throwing it out there.
I
but
haven't cleaned up the blood yet.
The submarine still has a lot of evidence, so I
Sink
need
it.
to sink it.
Okay. I'm on board with that.
I think that's my most plausible theory.
Okay, now how about this? I had not thought about this until just now because the first solution, the first whodunit we made where we just paint him out to be a cold-blooded psychopathic killer that has like a torpedo launching fetish, that one is like the easiest conclusion to come to.
At least the
right?
most fun.
That's pretty
Yeah.
much what everybody thought when they saw all the articles. The second one, I guess, takes a little more thoughtfulness to maybe come to, but you can also put yourself in those shoes and realize and think about that. Here's a third one. What if they were in some weird love triangle, like the rumors say,
Yeah.
and she was feeling neglected and pushed away because there was another woman or another man or whatever that he didn't want her anymore. And so she kind of wanted to go out with him and under the guise of this story. And then once she was on board, she had some plan to say, well, I'm going to kill myself here and make it look like you fucking killed me. What if it was like some situation like that where like she was the one trying to fucking play games or like do some shit? It'd be like give him an ultimatum. Either you marry me and we're together or I'm going to kill myself on board and they're going to think you did it.
Yeah,
And
that's
then like I've written a letter or some stuff. Like I have some other incriminating. Like you're gonna get fucked either way. I never thought about
I
that, but I
haven't
just
thought
did.
about that either. The thing is, if she killed herself, if that was her plan and she was going to kill herself inside the submarine, there is probably lack of evidence that he did it. Because I mean,
Mm-hmm.
you know, unless she's able to pick up, let's say, I'm just throwing it out at the bad version, pick up a handgun with his fingerprints, and she picks it up with gloves and she shoots herself in a way that it makes
Yeah.
it seem that he shot her, you know.
It's kind of hard.
Like if you kill yourself, forensic investigation is going to be able to know that it wasn't somebody else, you know. Maybe I think that's...
Yeah, she was also a journalist, so maybe she knew about the power of damning information, or maybe she knew something about him. Like maybe he revealed something to her in confidence that she was going to publish, or something like that. Like maybe she had picked up on a story and she found out that he was involved in some illegal activity, and that he didn't want her to come clean with the story, so he just killed her right there.
Well, as if there wasn't enough speculation just with the information we have, but. Yeah,
well, I mean, you know, you got to consider all the angles. I'm just trying to, like, I don't want to make light of the situation too much because it's a serious and tragic and sad thing. At the same time, like, I want to think about all the possibilities and because people do weird shit, man.
Yeah.
Like, and situations, like, you hear something and you're like, wow, that sounds really weird. And then when all the facts come to light, you're like, huh, I don't know if I'd have done any different, or okay, I can see how that happened, or, you know, when at first you're like, that sounds fucking ridiculous. I want to see justice done, whether he's, you know, if he's not guilty, I want him exonerated in the fullest. And if he is, I want him fucking punished, you know? I don't know. I guess we'll have to wait and see.
It doesn't start off well when he has two different stories, like a day or two apart, you know?
Yeah, that's I think, going to be the real problem.
That's really sketchy.
Yeah, and this whole thing about the Nautilus is cursed.
Like I said, I think that is an old quote.
Okay. So that's less relevant
might have
to
been
you.
taken out of context, you know? I think, like, if somebody happens to be recording me on my phone all day, every day, you know, I'm sure I've said things that if you just cut them
up and take them out of context, they sound creepy or bad.
That will sound terrible.
Yeah, me too.
Because, of course, I never say anything terrible
like this whole
within
thing about
the context.
This whole thing about the torpedo tube.
And yeah, I have a hard time believing that.
What's your vote? What do you think happened then? Just based on what we speculated, what we know so far.
I don't know what happened. Like I don't know the details.
Best guess.
But my guess is that he is guilty. That is my guess.
He murdered her. He's like, oh, this is the perfect crime. I'll never get away with it. Just go on the submarine, tell him I buried her at sea.
Maybe he panicked. The thing is he did something that he shouldn't have done, and then he tried to hide it.
So it was either completely premeditated, or then something happened at the time, and then he panicked and tried to cover it up.
Yes.
Okay.
That is my guess.
I gotta be honest. That's kind of what I was leaning to as well. But for the listeners, maybe we can have people vote, like on the SoundCloud comments or on Facebook. Just comment and say what they thought happened, or maybe if they got any more information that we missed, or some other speculation that we didn't think about.
Yeah,
people drop a comment.
The best theory will have a prize. Maybe a can of Tony's.
We'll give you a free sticker.
A can of Tony's. Oh, and the sticker.
Okay,
you're looking at me for like you don't want to promise a can of Tony's because I want the Tony's for myself. But I'm telling you one thing: I have a can of Tony's at home.
I'll tell you what. Here we go. The first person to vote for what is ultimately decided to be the most correct turn of events. In other words, if it's cold-blooded murder and the first person that comments on SoundCloud says cold-blooded murder, it was Colonel Mustard in the kitchen with a candlestick, and they're the one, I will give you one can. I will give you one can of Tony Chachere's original Creole Cajun seasoning from Louisiana. It's being flown over here from the U.S. as we speak. It is amazing on fries, potatoes.
Everything, really.
It's going to spice up your life on chicken. I'm not sponsored either. I feel like they wouldn't approve of me giving away this in a Kim Wall contest.
That's not what you want to be associated
and again,
with.
I'm really not trying to take this lightly, but hey, whatever. Let's at least, bad thing has already happened. Let's at least have some fun with it and play whodunit. So yeah, that's the submarine mystery.
It's a big fucking mystery, huh?
It's fucking like it is. When we were talking earlier about like it seems like it could be a movie, but it would definitely be a fiction.
Yeah, exactly.
That's like exactly. It's just too fucking bizarre to even be real. So almost like the dealing with it in some sort of comical way is like the only way for me to even like make sense of it.
If you take the murder out of the equation, if you take the death out of the equation,
It seems
it is a funny thing. Somebody has his own
submarine.
It's quirky, you know. It's
endearing.
It's awesome, really. I mean, someone has their own submarine.
Yeah,
that is pretty fucking cool.
All right, that's the fucking submarine mystery, Dolph.
That is the submarine mystery that's been tormenting Denmark for.
I'm like a little stressed out and like I'm like a little anxious just thinking about it. Like, my toes are kind of curling over here. Let's talk about something a little more carefree, a little more relaxed.
Yeah,
how
like
about
what
that?
for it? No, there's no. Okay, let's.
Well, let's segue into this other article with some more relaxation.
To be honest, I don't even know what articles we have. So just pick the next one.
Well, this is the one right here.
Oh, you like that one? Yeah. Let's go on a.
Let's go on a trip. Take a peaceful journey with me. I'm gonna bring you into a whole new world.
It's still something that. No, go on. I don't know how to finish this sentence.
Okay. You sure?
Yeah, go on, Ford. Okay. Talk about
Here's the
your
headline.
utopia.
The Alternative is ready. The Alternative is a political party here. That's right. Is that correct?
It's a very, very left-leaning party.
Left-leaning.
Very, very socialist. Very, almost like, I guess the hippiest party would not be a totally
incorrect statement.
Yeah.
Okay. The Alternative is ready with its big plan for Copenhagen. We need to work less and decide more. So this translation from Danish. So decide more, I think kind of means more like choose what to do with our life. Like decide what we're going to do more in our free time. So the Alternative presents the Sunday Party election program for the municipal elections 2017. It offers a 30-hour working week, culture on prescriptions, and attempts at living pay. This is the weirdest Danish translation. Okay, but basically, they want to change the work week. The key thing here is they want to change the work week from 37 hours to 30 hours.
Yes, that's the first thing. And the decision thing, if you scroll up again, it says Copenhageners should also have the right to change political decisions through digital polls.
Okay.
So that's probably what they mean with this side.
Yeah, so basically people would just vote on a lot of things and just have a popular vote on stuff through digital means.
Yeah.
I like it.
Because if it's digital, it's much easier to get people to vote on the different things.
If they were voting to increase the work week to 47 hours, I wouldn't be on board.
No shit, huh?
Yeah. But now that they're talking about reducing the work week, I'm on board. You got my attention right away because working 7 hours less every week is like a full day less. And you know who has a lot of it? Yeah, I was going to say, you know who has a lot of fucking experience with working only 4 days a week? Well, that's you.
Yeah, that's me.
I
love it.
Don't you think it's so fucking nice to have a 3-day weekend every fucking week?
It is. I have to say one thing though. Sometimes I actually get bored, but I think that's mostly my fault. That's not the fault of working less.
I bet you could find something to do.
Oh, exactly. That's the thing. I get bored because it's my own fault. Yeah. Because I just
gun to your head. You could find something to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I have to say it's probably one of the best things I've done in my recent years. It really helps a lot with, I don't know, just it's not that I was a very stressed person before, but I mean I don't really need much money. I live pretty cheaply. I'd rather work less and earn less, but just have more time to either to do my own things or to just not be in an office and looking at the computer and just enjoy my time more.
So here's some more commentary. Working life is not sustainable. Significant points in the program are about Copenhagen's working life and the state of democracy in the capital. None of them are sustainable in their present state, the Alternative believes. Therefore, the municipality must work actively for a 30-hour working week, stress clinics, prescription culture, and therapy gardens to take the stress out, and the city will house Denmark's first citizenship attempt. This translation might be kind of weird, but...
Yeah, that's not the best translation.
But anyways...
Anyway, if you just take the headline for it, that's pretty much what attracted you to that, right?
Well, yeah, but I mean... I agree, man. I think nowadays we live our life like we basically trade our time for money, like a significant portion of it to fund the things that we need for basic survival already. And honestly, I mean, I get it, but I think we are still stuck in this old concept of the 40-hour work week. Like, I feel like the most productive part of my day when I'm working is about a couple hours in
Yeah.
for like a 4 or 5 hour stretch.
Hmm.
And then no matter how hard I try, I'm not going to add extra productivity by just banging my head into the keyboard. So like there's a 5 hours of my day that basically I can give my best. And any more than that, just it doesn't feel any additional productivity. I can sit there and fill and warm a chair for the other 3 hours
Yeah.
or 2.5 hours that day. But there's only 5 hours where I really like get the brunt of my work done. And and that's been that way no matter what job I've ever been, no matter what industry I've ever been, no matter what I've done. I'm just that kind of person. And from talking to other people just over the course of my life, I feel like that's true for most people. It's just a lot of people don't want to admit it or like say it because they're like, oh, look at you, you fucking slacker, only working 5 hours out of the day. I work 8 hours and I'm productive 100% of the time. Quit the bullshit, you know? I don't think it's right.
Yeah, I haven't measured it, but I very much believe that my productivity, if it changed very little from working one less day a week. I really believe so.
Yeah. And I think also that the time that you don't work, like you were saying, sometimes you get bored. And if I take a long vacation or like a long weekend, I feel it too. At some point, you kind of like, I've kind of exhausted whatever I would normally do in my free time. Like I'm ready to go back to work and be productive.
Yeah.
Or like, you know what I mean? Like you have this push and pull where sometimes you want to be productive and sometimes you just want to chill out. And I don't know. I like this idea. I like this idea of working less and having more time to be creative or do things that you want that are important because you only live once. And when you're dying on a hospital bed, you're not going to look back and say, man, I'm so
should have
glad I
worked
put that
more.
extra 10 hours in every week.
Yeah.
You're going to say, man, I wish I had more time to spend with my family and my loved ones and hold my kids.
Yeah, exactly. Especially once you have kids, then you'll really want to spend more time with them as well. And I mean the obvious thing behind the obvious thing behind this is also that technology is improving. The way technology is improving, a lot of jobs are really going to become obsolete. And
yeah,
I mean, like if you see, let's say, if you have 10 people, all of them working 37 hours a week, that's 370 hours a week. If you have all of them working only 30 hours a week, then you have 70 hours to fill up still, which would be around two more people hired.
People. Yeah, more hired.
So you'd have, of course, there's probably a lot of flaws in my thinking, but at least logically speaking, you would have less unemployment because you'd hire more people. You would have everybody working less.
Yeah.
So one can assume that their lives would be improved. Either they be less stressed or
high quality,
have more time to rest and to do their own things and to be happy.
Absolutely.
And I mean,
one other thing about this that kind of struck me as big is Copenhagen already, by U.S. standards, has a shorter work week because we do 40 and you guys do 37. So that's already a significant amount. I mean, it's not huge, but it's already lower. But this is kind of a radical change. It's not like let's reduce it from 37 to 35 or 37 to 34. It's like 37 to 30. I mean, it's like fully almost
it's a 3-day weekend,
25% of the current situation, you know, which, hey, if you're going to do it, be bold, I guess. You see like at supermarkets and stuff, they have all these fucking self-checkout machines now. I bet those replace a few people.
Yeah.
Because they make you bag your own groceries and scan your own shit and do everything. I mean, so there's just going to be more and more in that. I think at McDonald's in certain places, they just have fucking automated machines where you order your thing. You see it at like Max Burger too. Instead of more employees taking orders, you just order it yourself and then somebody makes it for you and gives it to you. And
of course,
eventually
self-driving cars.
Self-driving cars are going to change the taxi, and the trucking industry is probably going to be the biggest one. Self-driving ships. That's a huge one. That's I think Maersk even has a super center for like driving ships remotely and monitoring them while they're self-driving and stuff. So there's going to be all these things that we used to have a person to do 7-8 hours a day, and now we don't really need it. So why force people to conform to these old norms of what used to be considered a hard day's work or whatever? Like, if people can be more productive, like, I want to live in a society where people can be free to like play the guitar, like as if it was a job, if that's what they want to do,
Mhm.
or like paint pictures. And yeah, sorry, I don't have another job because nobody really needs me to have a job, or you know what I mean? Like, of course, that's a bit utopian, like going full scale. But if we can start to tone back and have more free time to do creative things or do,
Or just do whatever you want.
yeah, that's what I
Doesn't need
mean.
to be creative.
Well, okay,
yeah.
but I
Because,
mean,
for example, there's a lot of people who like you probably fit this because when you were a kid, I'm sure you were interested in computers.
yeah,
So, for example, I'm sure there's a lot of people who, even if let's imagine they're programmers, so they work, they're programming on their day job, and then all of a sudden they have an extra day or one less day of work. A lot of those people would probably keep programming, but they'd just be doing their own stuff, you know,
Yeah.
and create their own things or work on open source or
Yeah.
work, get together with other people and
absolutely.
just build something.
I
Build
mean,
a fucking submarine, you know, on
Yeah.
the 7 hours that you have a week.
Yeah, I mean, I've thought of in the past couple of years, I mean, since I've been here, there's been some little open source projects that I wanted to do myself. But I was like, ah, shit, I only have like so much free time. And, you know, then I have Danish class and like, I just don't have the time to do it.
Mhm.
But you're right. If I had an extra day, I might say, you know what, I'm going to take 4 hours a week and work on this little coding project.
Yeah, because not
'Cause it's
everybody,
interesting.
not everybody wants to just have. Okay, I have an extra day. I'm just gonna watch TV all day. I'm sure
Right.
there's some people
And,
like
and some
this.
days you're going to want to do that.
Yeah, but I'm sure there's some people like this. But the majority of people, I mean, if I end up feeling bored sometimes on Sundays, you know, there's certainly a lot of people who the same thing would happen, and when that happens, they'll just find something to do, something that they like, something that they're passionate about.
I'm all for it.
I think
This alternative-
better things could come out of this.
This alternative party has really piqued my interest.
Yeah, they're like the hippies here, Ford.
And they're pro legalization too, I
I like
assume?
hippies. I have to say, I mean, if it
Yeah.
wasn't enough just looking at my long hair and the clothes I sometimes wear, yeah, I like.
Yeah, I got long hair too.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Put
Yeah,
me in
you
a
are a
club.
hippie as well.
I'm a hippie as well. All right. Well, I don't know. I like how also you have a lot of different parties, not just two-party system like the U.S. You have all kind of different viewpoints and ideas for society, and society can kind of pick and choose the best. And I think it's cool that they want to do like digital polling of what people actually want, not the politicians voting on their behalf.
Yeah.
Like, let the people decide. You know what I mean? I think that this old system of back in the day, we had to elect people so they could vote on our behalf is a little bit antiquated because honestly, there's so much like you can communicate in an instant now and you can get everybody's opinion basically right away.
It's true.
Like,
yeah.
how many likes on Facebook does this law get? Like, you know, just pass it or what, or you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, I heard someone saying that it's a bit crazy that nowadays you have all your bank, everything dealing with banks, you can do it online. So it's good enough for
money,
which is one of the
Secured
strongest
and- yeah.
forces in the world, so to say.
Yeah.
But not for political opinion, or I mean, not opinions,
Yeah,
but
'cause that's
for
always-
voting, political
That's
voting.
always what they say. Oh, well, we're worried about something hacking or, you know, like,
Which it's true.
fair enough. There's
it
always
could
that
happen.
risk.
But
But
I mean, just
there's telltale signs when there's hacking as well. It's like, you know, I mean, you can go in, an incident responder can go in and look and see, wow, it looks like these logs were touched up, or look at this strange request here. That doesn't look normal. We should rehold a vote or discard these like strange, erroneous entries.
still, but it's also not a reason to not attempt something.
Right.
You know,
You're like,
it's
well,
stupid.
Yeah, it's like being like, well, through modern surgery, we could save somebody's life, but there's the risk that they might die.
Yeah.
Might as well not even try
Oh,
it.
better yet, I've made this handgun, but there's the risk that people might use them to shoot each other, so let's not put them in the market.
Yeah.
Like that fucking happened.
Yeah. So I don't know. I'm interested. I think it's cool. There's more and more I just love living here, man. I feel like the city has good vision. I don't agree with all the politics and stuff. I'm not deep into the politics. Sometimes I look at the newspaper and I'm like, look at these fucking idiots. Like, this is wrong.
Yeah.
Or, sometimes I look at something like this and I'm like, wow, this sounds good to me. Speaking of that.
As soon as we can control the fucking weather for it, this is going to be really the perfect place.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I agree. Just make it like it is in the summer year round when we actually have a nice summer. This year's been kind of shit.
Yeah, and when you have a nice summer, you also bicycle a lot more.
And if you bicycle, you want Copenhagen to be car free.
There you go. For
it. What a segue! Do you see how I picked up on that segue?
Yeah.
All right. The inner Copenhagen can be car free. This is another article translated from Danish. So if it sounds weird, it's not just because I'm an idiot. It's probably because the translation is not that good. So there are politicians want to investigate this potential for the inner Copenhagen to be completely car-free, the central part of the city. And the politicians will have to take a final position on the proposal sometime in 2018. According to the proposal, the area should be closed for traffic, namely the Copenhagen medieval city. What's this actual original translation?
It's probably like Copenhagen, okay? Just the center,
Okay, let me see.
So all the old cobblestone streets.
Right.
That's my guess.
Okay, the oldest of Copenhagen. Right. Okay.
Yeah, the part of the city that has existed since the Middle Ages.
Right. Okay.
So
Perfect.
probably not Vestable, not Nordport, but all that parts in the center, maybe up to Nordport.
Yeah.
Probably up to Nordport and maybe to King's Garden.
Okay.
And Kongens Nytorv or something like that.
So the Technical Environmental Management and Finance Administration expects this would cost between 80 and 120 million crowns Danish. And to me, I think this cost estimate is about the study to see if it would work, not the actual shutting it down. But I just say that because it's not really clear what the cost would be. If it is to shut it down or if it's to do the study properly. I'm not sure. It kind of sounds expensive for a study. $10 million to $20 million. I guess it's.
Can you put the original text in Danish?
Yeah. Well, I thought I had it just a minute ago and then I closed it like a chump.
If you just highlight it,
no, it used to do that. It doesn't do that anymore. Where you highlight it and shows you the original. Here it says. Oh God, Oh God.
Over there.
Okay, we had a really loud ad playing. I hope that didn't show up in the
I don't think
recording.
It did.
But it almost blew my ears out. Fucking ads, man. It will cost between...
No, I mean, what I get is that it will actually cost that to close it down.
Okay, fair enough.
Because of, I don't know, building stuff to prevent the cars or rerouting some of the parts, because you still need, like nowadays, you still need some trucks and stuff like that for goods being delivered to the inner parts of the city.
Okay, but I mean, it's not a one-time cost of 120 million crowns, right? Wouldn't it be
that's what I would assume.
Recurring cost? Because I mean,
well, if you just if you build something to close off the traffic, then it's. I mean, of course, there's maintenance afterwards.
Okay, so to close off all the traffic to the city center is obviously going to cost some money. Okay. They have an estimate,
That's my guess. That's
okay.
the estimate.
The background for this proposal comes after a number of recommendations from the PET, which is the Police Intelligence Service, on measures to slow down. They talk about there's already concrete blocks in the urban area. This is to prevent this kind of like Barcelona and Nice style truck attack to run people down, which I appreciate that those things are there, although it's kind of depressing and sad that they have to be. It's about getting organized so that the city is safe, but also in a way so the city's life can go on.
Yeah. I'm actually surprised that
they took this angle.
Yeah, exactly. That they want to do this not because it will improve
life
but because
of terror.
People, but because of terror. Yeah.
I would have been all on board with this, even if you left the whole terror part out. Yeah, get the fucking cars out of the city, man. The city is beautiful. It's nice. That's one of the things I like most about in Christiania is that there's no cars allowed. It's
Hmm.
just bikes and people walking. It feels so much like you're more connected to the other people around you.
Yeah, because you're not inside a
And
box of.
yeah, of metal. Yeah,
Even when you're just bicycling, you feel more connected to the people
I
around you.
agree. So, anyways, it's interesting that they're kind of, I guess, maybe trying to push this thing on the terror front, which I also understand. But I mean, isn't there just going to be then a truck attack right on the border where there's cars allowed? You know what I mean? Or like if they're already going to break the law, like murder is not allowed. So
Yeah, but I guess it's not as bad as having a truck just going on stall,
yeah,
which is like a 1 kilometer street
yeah,
and just mauling everybody in there.
I agree. Anyways, I like this prospect of a car-free inner city.
To be honest, a lot of it already feels kind of car
It
free.
does.
Even on, for example, on Vestagel, where there's cars that can, I mean, you can drive there.
Hmm. There's not that many
I
cars, right?
mean, no, because even for cars, it's not a nice place to drive because there's a lot of people. You need to drive
Hmm.
slowly.
Got to stop
There's a
all
lot
the
of
time.
traffic.
Can't just run them over.
Like if there is a car delivering something, it might be blocking half of the road, and then you can't pass anyway. You have to wait for them.
Yeah,
I mean, I don't own a car, so I'm kind of biased on this.
you don't need a car in the city
But
here.
but no, I think it would be perfectly fine, even if someone works right in the center and they drive to work. I mean, yeah, maybe it sucks a little bit more, but just leave your car a little further out and walk 10 minutes.
Yeah. Well, there you go.
There you go.
It's been
The opinions of the carless and childless,
mm-hmm.
which maybe amounts for, I wonder.
A good chunk of Copenhagen,
Yeah,
probably.
is it? Do you think
I don't know.
half of the people are childless? And
I don't know. I feel like less and less people nowadays are having a child.
I think Denmark is still one of the highest birth rates in Western Europe. It's still under,
Yeah,
as far as I know, it's still under
like they still need
2.1.
more to maintain the social.
Yeah,
Like they'd have that whole campaign, do it for Denmark.
Yeah,
like
it's less than
the
2.1, but I
have
think
more
it's one of the
kids.
highest. And you do see a lot of people with baby
Oh
strollers
yeah,
around
and
here.
it's I guess it's probably great to have a family here. You have so many benefits, a high
Yeah.
quality of life. Your kids, you get good schooling and treatment with like they have the whole pedagogue and yeah, like the Danish kind of I guess version of kindergarten, and then the follow up to that or whatever.
And you have nurses when you give birth. You have nurses coming to
Yeah,
your
they come
place and
help
checking.
you.
It's probably one of the best places in the world to have kids. Actually,
Mhm.
yeah.
Well, and one of the best things if you have kids is you don't have cars running them down in the street.
Well, but if you have kids, you probably need cars.
No, that's not true. With all the public transport, I see people take those little prams around and even the strollers for the bigger kids, and they take them on the metro. I get it, man. You want to be lazy and drive your car around. You can cycle them around in a
Holy shit!
Christiania
Look at
bike.
this American guy. The way he changed. You want to be lazy? You're one of us, Ford.
I feel more and
You
more
are
like,
one of us.
hey, man, like when I first got here, I really felt still like a fucking American, but I liked what was going on here. The more and more I've been here, the more and more I feel like a Dane or a real Copenhagener because like I saw when I first came here, like the sparkle or whatever drew me to the city, like something was different. I didn't really know yet or didn't put my finger on it. And I'm not 100% sure I still do, but I do notice more and more the big differences because I was in the US for 30 fucking years, you know? Like, I feel like I understand because I lived there my whole life.
Yeah.
And now, like, this place becomes more normal to me. And I think back and I sometimes compare and contrast, especially with my girlfriend. We talk about, like, wow, you know, one thing I miss in the US is this, but damn, I'm glad it's this in Copenhagen. And, like, I don't know, man. I just feel more and more Danish every day, I guess. Doesn't hurt to start learning the language, too.
No, that was one of the biggest things for me to feel integrated. You know,
Yeah.
because when you walk around and you see billboards or almost every text that you see, it's just foreign.
Yeah. And then now you can read it. And you're
Yeah,
like, oh, okay.
it's like
Sail
I
on
mean,
shoes.
even if you don't
Cool.
notice, you feel like, okay, well, I guess I can't understand this,
Yeah.
so I'm not really
And
part of this.
It could be even the most mundane things. Like I would used to walk by a sign and it would just be like, oh yeah, there's a sale on sports gear. But I didn't know it said that. And I was just like, what the fuck does that mean? And I would have to use context and try to put together what it meant. But now I just walk by and it's like, oh, there's a big blowout on 60% off of shoes over here. Like, and it doesn't even, yeah, Slutspurt. And it doesn't even matter like what it is. It's just the fact, oh, okay, cool. I know what that means. You know? You don't feel left out.
Yeah, exactly. Feel that you belong
Mhm.
once you actually are able to understand what you read around you.
Yeah.
Or overhear conversations that you overhear.
Overhearing those conversations about love triangles. All right. I feel like we should.
Yeah,
I feel like it's been a good podcast, but it's running
it
a
was.
little long in the tooth.
Oh, you really
I know,
not. You need some energy for it.
I know. I need to get some pep in my step.
But I guess it's around the time that we ended. We had a few more articles, but I guess maybe we can keep them for next week or something. It's nothing really important.
Yeah,
the submarine. We really just needed to get the submarine story over.
And I don't. Go ahead. Yeah, no.
No, I was just gonna say that there's one last thing, which is Conor McGregor and Floyd Mayweather. They're fighting in 10 hours or something like that. And I am so
You're
hyped.
stoked about that.
I am so hyped. I've been so hyped in the past month and a half ever since it became official.
When you get to fight, do you have like a USB drive? Like, can you let me check it out? Like, I haven't been. I don't really download stuff anymore and do all that, but just hook me up with a copy of the fight. I do really want to see it. It'll probably get spoiled for me anyway.
But you're gonna have it spoiled.
I don't care. I still just want to watch it.
Oh, you still want to watch it?
It doesn't matter to me if they get spoiled. No. Because I like to watch how it all went down. Even if I know at the end, okay, Connor knocked him out. Like, I want to see him like dismantle him piece by piece, or I want to see him struggle to finally get the winning blow. Like, because just saying he got knocked out or just telling me the result doesn't tell me about the battle that occurred.
No, that's true.
And so people are always worried about spoilers on fights. I get it. I would rather not have it spoiled, but it doesn't change to me if it was actually a good fight.
No, if it's a good fight, it doesn't matter.
Now, if it was a snooze fest and then at the end something happened of note, okay, just show me the highlight reel. Because I don't want to just see some boring fight. But yeah, I'm pretty excited about it. I followed a lot of MMA back when I was still in the US, and I just don't follow it as much anymore because we don't get it at the right time here. And yeah, and we used to have these parties where we would just watch the UFC events and with our friends at their house, drink beers and kick it. And we were going to watch Ryzen with some of our friends, but they bailed out on us at the last minute. Bailed out. When's the next Ryzen? Was it badass? Was it worth it?
It was good. Yeah.
Would we have had fun if we had watched it here?
For sure.
Yeah,
for sure.
Damn, I'm sad.
I mean, even if the fights were crappy, we'd still have had fun, you know?
But some of the fights were good.
Yeah, for sure. They're great. It's fucking Japan.
And the presentation was like on
Japanese,
point.
Yeah, with all the lights.
Was it a Japanese version of the Bruce Buffer? Like, and now, fighting out of the left corner.
Well, they have you watched Pride before, right?
Yeah.
So they used to have this woman, I forgot her name now, but she just, she's an iconic voice, the way she introduced the woman's, she would speak a little bit like this, I guess, something like that.
So that's like that's her version of the Bruce Buffer.
Not, I didn't make it justice. I just wanted to say that it's so over the top that it becomes really funny. And then she's American, as far as I know, or British, but she's from an English-speaking country. But then the way she pronounces the names, even the Western names, I have a feeling that she adds a bit of a Japanese accent to it because she probably has been living there forever. I don't know, you know?
Yeah.
And it's one of the icons, let's say.
It's kind of comical, as well.
And she's Lena something or Lena something or something like that, her name. And anyway, that's besides the point. Ryzen was great, but I've been following this shit ever since
the Conor McGregor.
It was just
you
a
like
rumor.
The trash talk. You like the man, the myth, the legend,
and not just the trash talk. I mean, Conor is a very impressive human being.
Do you think he could ever be a little more humble?
He is humble. He is humble. If you actually follow him, if you listen to him outside of press conferences that are used to build to sell a fight.
Okay.
He is humble. He was humble in defeat when he lost to Nate Diaz in the first time, the only loss that he actually has, as far as I know, in MMA.
Yeah.
He was humble, and he came back. And if you watch, for example, UFC has these embedded episodes, which is
I've seen a few.
Yeah. In the fight week. During fight week,
they follow the fighter around and kind of go through their life and the preparation
just
leading up to it.
Build up the fight a little more and maybe sell some more PPVs. And you can see the way he is when he's like around his friends, you know, and he's not just trying to act for the cameras. And he's a normal, like, Irish bloke, I would say.
Yeah, well, fair enough. I mean, pretty much the only thing I haven't followed him as closely as you have, and so I don't know like about his personal and all that. It just seems to me every time I see him is always in some
Yeah.
press conference shit where he's saying
Yeah.
"fuck you," and
Yeah.
he doesn't seem very humble then.
He's extremely
So-
confident.
But he's a
that he is.
showman, is what you're
Yeah,
getting
yeah,
at.
he is. I
Okay.
mean, and that's one of the reasons why he is so big. Of
Yeah.
course, he is big because he is extremely skilled,
As
and he
well.
basically dominated
Champions.
one division of the UFC, and then he became champion on the other with one fight as well.
Yeah.
But he's very cocky. He sounds very cocky. He's very confident, but it's showmanship.
Okay.
Most of it is showmanship. I mean, of course, he has to be like this a little bit inside, It's not just 100% an act.
Yeah.
But when you see him outside of the spotlight,
Seems more genuine.
He seems like another Irish dude having fun with his friends and stuff like that.
Got him.
And I want him to win so bad. I know it's kind of unlikely, but just following this so closely and following their camp and their the confidence that they have, I have bought into the hype so much.
All right.
I want him to win. I think there's definitely a chance.
I want him to win for you, and it'll be a win for MMA over boxing as well.
The world will come down.
All right. Well, that's going to be it for us today, I guess. You can follow us on Facebook, SoundCloud. You can leave a vote for what you think happened in the Kim Wall submarine mystery. You can leave a comment about who you think's going to win between Conor McGregor
Go
and
ahead.
Floyd Mayweather, or what you thought about the fight, I guess, if you catch the podcast after.
Yeah, people are just gonna call me an idiot. How can you think that he has a chance?
Yeah, that's...
I want to believe. It's like the X-Files. I
You
want
wanna
to
believe.
believe.
Okay.
All right, see you guys next week.
See you next week.